All right, what is up, everybody? Keep doing single record guy 31 across the DFS industry. Not in a car. That's a nice change. But here to break down 2-game UCL slate. This time, going to have the lineup screen share up, which is the benefit of not being in the car. So, sorry for the lighting's bad. House is being painted inside, so I'm sitting out here and looked over the slate. It's an interesting slate because we've got familiar teams, right? We got City, we got Liverpool, both as big favorites. So it's going to be about maximizing those exposures and maybe making a tough decision. I'll go over that here in a minute. And the tough decision is going to be around Trent Alexander-Arnold. That'll be the second game. So just a quick reminder, like, subscribe, comment on the videos, and let's just jump right into it so you can stop seeing my glary face so much. So let's start with City and Atletico. City's minus 333 at home. I want to stress the at home part, right? Because if I'm looking at making a decision between Manchester City at home to an Atletico who's struggled defensively, who's likely to sit back and just play on the counter, I'm going to want to prefer a City piece to a Liverpool piece who is going to Benfica. And that should be, where Benfica is really trying to steal a result and then just try to hold on at Anfield. Okay, so that's how I see these two games. Now, on the City side of thing, I think Kevin De Bruyne is just the auto click, and it's just there's not too much to think about on him. Now, I want to say, I think here's one of the two decision points, right? I already talked about one decision point being Trent Alexander-Arnold from Liverpool. I think the other decision point is Riyad Mahrez. Okay, so I want to say, and I prefer Mahrez to any other forward on the slate. Okay, if in documented this at length on Champions League and Premier League videos, right? Takes corners, takes penalties, which is a big thing with City because of how much pressure they put in the box. When he's in, he's double digits. The problem is he's very, very, very expensive on the slate. Let me make sure I have my prices up. I don't have to just guess like I do sometimes in the car, although my guessing is pretty darn good. But Mahrez is at 10.3, right? Foden, meanwhile, is 8,500. So $1,800 difference. A lot more can fit if you go that direction. So I think you're definitely playing one of Foden or Mahrez. You could easily argue that you just play both too, right? And just pay the Liverpool forwards, especially if you're going to be playing Benfica's keeper. I think a lot of people will do that. So those are my big three. Jack Grealish, I think, has just been a big struggle. I played him over the weekend, and he was a big disappointment. He's 6,400. I do wonder if that just becomes Sterling at this point. If Pep just kind of is like, F this, I'm trying to make this work, but this is we're far in the Champions League. Pep's had a long struggle, very long documented struggle in the Champions League. Is this really the time that he wants to keep throwing out Grealish? If it was me, I played Sterling there, or try to maybe you play Silva up there so you can keep Gundogan in the side, something like that. It'll be a really interesting line to see. Then João Cancelo is your other, very, very top play here. Now, João Cancelo is actually going to be where I'm going to go a little bit back on what I was saying. I'll take Andy Robertson 6,700 over João Cancelo 6,500. But we'll talk about Trent Alexander-Arnold here in a minute at 82. Okay, so that's City, De Bruyne, Mahrez, Foden. If Sterling's in, he's a conversation. I don't think Silva's part of really on my radar, but that's the time that Bernardo Silva always does the most damage, is when you don't expect him. And then João Cancelo. So those are your top plays. On the Atletico side, I don't want anybody here. It's probably Jan Oblak or bust. If you stumble on like a center back or Simi Versalco, they're all cheap. I can see it, but anything else is GPP. You don't want them in optimals. All right, let's go to Benfica and Liverpool. Liverpool's minus 278 away. Let's start on the Liverpool side. I think Trent Alexander-Arnold struggling with injury, right? He's getting back early, quicker than expected, but I think not only a dip in form, like a DFS form, right, versus real life form, but dip in form away, slate build up. I don't think you're crazy for fading Trent Alexander-Arnold at 8,200. I also don't think you're just going lock and load him. I'm not fading, Trent. If I fade him, he's going to put 20 floor. I get it. Just, you got Grimaldo. I'm going to talk about in a minute. You've got Cancelo. You've got Robertson, 1,500 cheaper. I think there's a really good argument that if you want to go three defender, you've got three defenders that all are in the range of Trent Alexander-Arnold's floor. And if all of a sudden Trent doesn't get a decisive action, doesn't get a goal, doesn't get an assist, it's a really good shot that he might be an overpay. Not like in putting him towards other forwards or midfielders. He's going to look fine there. But when you look at Cancelo, Robertson, Grimaldo, you go, okay, I could have gotten that production for a lot cheaper and benefited my lineup. So that would just be my 2 cents on Trent. I think Robertson's pretty much a lock. Even before Trent's injury, Robertson was doing about the similar production. It's always just the one that hits the ceiling is the one that gets the goal or the assist. Salah, Mane, Jota. I think Luis Diaz is probably back in here. A little revenge on his former team. I don't think there's any revenge there, right? He had a great time at Benfica. Actually, I'm way off. He was at Porto. He played Benfica a ton, so no revenge. I don't think he actually likes Benfica. I don't know why I blinked for a second. So I do think that this probably is Luis Diaz, especially with Jota playing on the weekend. I think they're all fine. I think Mane is a little underpriced if you like Liverpool exposure, 7,700. But the question becomes: do you play Mane, or do you use the money to get Mahrez? Do you use Foden? If Sterling's in, go on, and so forth. But those are the plays. So the front three, as always, Mohamed Salah in a little bit of a rut. Might be a great place for him to snap out of it, but I'm not really finding Salah in my builds. If I'm getting up there, it's going to be for Mahrez. All right, I think I covered Liverpool well. Benfica, I think Grimaldo is by far the best plays. Back on taking a majority of sets. Might split with Everton, but he's a really good price at 5,200, where he fits your builds very nice. I'm sorry, 5,300. So I really like that. Liverpool still does give up DFS points, especially away. Again, I kind of talked about this is going to be Benfica's one shot. Like they've got to win 2-1 or 2-0 or 1-0 to at least give them a shot going to Anfield. They lose this game 2-0, they're done. Benfica knows that. I think Vlad Campos will be very popular in builds, especially if you're fading a lot of the Liverpool front three for City. You could get a cheap home goalkeeper. I think a lot of people will do that. YOLO GPP, Nunez is a great player. Everton, nice little player. Ramos as well. So I think that's how people will go. All right, that'll do it. Hope that this helps. Initial core would be De Bruyne, Robertson, Grimaldo. So good luck, everybody. And with that, I'll say, see you.